I've missed the class. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so there are certain words you're looking for, like should, therefore, should really draw your attention to it. Now, looking at A, ways of checking, they didn't tell me ways of checking. They didn't tell me, like, if I put on YouTube, this is what I should be looking out for. I should be looking out for bubbles and stuff. No, they didn't mention that. Now, number B says, how the use of NGTube is authorized. They didn't tell me about authorization. They didn't tell me if doctors want to use NGTube, it should be authorized by so and so. No. Or if nurses want to use NGTube, this is the pathway before they can use the NGTube. No, that wasn't mentioned. Now, option C now said, which staff should perform NGTube placement? This looks like where the answer should be, right? So which staff should perform NGTube placement? That answer is seen in this sentence, okay? Insertion and care of an NGTube should therefore only be carried out by the registered doctor or nurse. So that answers the question. So this notice is telling us which staff, okay? In this case, the doctor or the nurse should perform NGTube placement, all right? Okay, let's look at 2. And then we'll look at other things here. All right. Okay, now look at question 2. Now, look at these words carefully, please. Now, question, someone's mic is... Oh, I need to start muting people's mic. Oh. Let me see whose mic is on. Francisca? Okay. All right. Thank you. Now look at question 2. Question 2 says, what must all staff involved in the transmission process do? What kind of question is this? Is this a specific detail question or a gist question?
Specific detail question.
Specific detail
All right, so
question.
looking for specific details. So specific details you are looking for is all staff. So this kind of stuff, now if you want to underline the exam, you underline all staff and transmission process, right? Because those are the most important thing here. So all staff, transmission process, important for you to note. And then option A now says, check that their existing training is valid. So validity of existing training. So existing training is valid online. Attend a course about new procedures. Okay, so new procedures, okay, is underlined. Read a document that explain changes in policy. So changes in policy is underlined. I'll now come to my text now. Let's now read our text. Okay, before we'll now start doing practical questions together. Now, the text says, the administration of blood can have significant morbidity and mortality. Following the introduction of the right patient, right blood safety policy, all staff, so we're seeing the first place now, all staff is appearing. Remember that all staff is one of our very key word here, right? And now we're seeing all staff appearing here. So all staff involved in the transmission process must, this is a very important word too, must. So when you see words like should, must, only, all right, must be competency assessed. Okay, so our answer look like it's here already, but let's continue. To ensure the safe administration, okay, let me admit other people. All right, sorry, let me admit others. So to ensure the safe administration of blood components to the intended patient, all staffs again, all right, I've been mentioned again. So I'm calling my reading to this place. All staff must be aware of their responsibilities in line with the professional standard. Okay, so in line with professional standard. Okay, let's see. Staff again. Must is mentioned. Must. So these are important information you should look out for. Must ensure that if they take part in the transition process, their competency assessment is updated every 3 years. All staff are responsible for ensuring that they attend the mandatory training identified for their roles. Relevant training courses, blah, 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 blah. So now, first one talks about competency being assessed for all staff. Another place for all staff also mentioned that they must be aware of their responsibility in line with the professional standard. The third most important sentence here said, they must ensure that if they're going to take part in transition process, their competency assessment needs to be updated. So competency again, but then needs to be updated. We'll now go to options. Check that their existing training is still valid. That looks like our answer, but let's look at B. Attend a course to learn about new procedures. They're not talking about new procedures. They're talking about transition process. Some people might go and choose this one now. Why? Because if you come to this place now, they said They said here that all staff are responsible for ensuring that they attend mandatory training. Training is like course now, right? Identify for their roles. That's the answer. They must attend courses. People just gonna pick B. However, they said about new procedures. These new procedures make the answer wrong. Because they're not talking about new procedures, they're talking about blood what? Transfusion process. So these new procedures make this answer wrong already. So don't rush. Here, those who say relevant training courses are better identified. Okay, they say mention courses. So some people might pick this because they saw courses. No. Now look at C. I'm trying to eliminate, all right? So C says, read a document that explains changes in policy. Read a document that explains changes in policy. So you might say, I saw policy somewhere, or that should be the answer. I saw policy. Let's look at it. It said, right patient, right blood safety policy. That's the answer. Policy. Policy was mentioned. C is my answer. Let's choose C because I saw policy. All right. But that is absolutely the wrong answer. So if you look at everything now, you see that check that the existing training is valid. Okay. Is the most important answer. All right. So I'll pause my share. I want to project something. Just hold on. Just hold on. Thank you all. Can you all see my screen now? Can you see my screen?
We can see the initial one you were explaining, the one on transmission process.
Can you see my
Oh,
screen?
yes. Yes.
Is
Another
that
one as a.
all right? Thank you so much. Now, please, I would like us to participate in this. We're going to be reviewing them, and then I'll be explaining the tips that I've mentioned so that we can see them practically. Now, let's read this in 2 minutes, okay? And then drop your answers on the chat box. Okay, there's a chat box. I'm sure we can navigate through that. Okay, so read through this and then till the end, and then drop your answers in the chat box. Okay, so I'm going to give 2 minutes for this, and after that, we'll look at it together. Thank you. So your time starts now for 2 minutes. So we have 1 minute small. Thank you. A minute to go. We have 30 seconds. All right. Okay, let me admit this. Wow, it's a lot of A. Okay. Let me call. Let me see the very first. Tosin, are you on the call? Tosin. Is Tosin on the call? All right. Tosin seems not to hear me. I don't want us to waste time. Fola, is Fola on the call?
Yes, I am.
All right, please explain why you chose A and how you got your answer A. I want to see how systematic you are. Right.
So the question says doctors are advised to break patients' confidentiality if, and I chose A, which is failure to do so would put other people in danger. In the second paragraph, you can see that, however, faced with a situation in which a patient's refusal to consent to disclosure leaves others exposed to a risk so serious that it outweighs the patient's and the public's interest in maintaining confidentiality, or if it's not practical or safe to seek the patient's consent, information should be disclosed promptly to an appropriate person or authority. So just that statement that says, if others are exposed to a risk so serious that outweighs the patient's and public's interest.
All right. Okay, so we can see here that, thank you so much. All right, so we can see here that, yeah. Now, there's certain words that will draw your attention, something like however, all right, from the second paragraph. However, faced with a situation with the patient's refusal to consent to disclosure leaves other exposed to a risk so serious. So now remember that in her option, or what she chose, failure to do so will put other people in danger. There's really no danger word that was used in this context, right? But then she and other people that actually picked option A were able to deduce that danger also means risk, right? Can you hear me? So meaning that if there's a refusal of a patient to consent to disclosure, leaves other people exposed to a risk so serious that it outweighs the public interest in maintaining confidentiality. So exposed to a risk, okay? And that's putting other people in danger, all right? So you can see that from here, when you read now, confidentiality is a trust, blah, 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 you now put however. So however should draw your attention. However, faced with a situation in which a patient's refusal to consent to disclosure leave other people exposed to a risk. Okay, so serious that it outweighs the patient's and the public interest in maintaining confidentiality, or it is not practical or safe to seek the patient's consent. All right, information should be disclosed promptly to an appropriate person or authority. All right, so exposed to a risk, similar to people in danger. Now, I saw someone that picked C. Can't remember the person. However, that is not really important. But then C, a patient refuses to disclose information relevant to the care. Why is this answer wrong? Who can explain? Let me see on the chat.
It's because
Okay.
the relevant information being spoken about is not actually about the consequence is not on the patient, it's on other people.
Exactly. So it was on other people being in danger, right? Okay. But here they said, advice if patient refuses to disclose information relevant to their care. That was also mentioned, something about patient refusing. But why is it wrong? See what they said? They said patient refusal. I'm sure that's where this person got the answer from. Patient refusal to consent. Okay. So why is C wrong? I understand that most people picked A, but why is C wrong, please? I understand you said patient, but then here there was something like patient to here. Nobody wants to explain? I know the main thing is to get the answer, but I want us to be sure of how we got the answer. But I will not be confused in the exam. Let me see who's on the line.
Hello?
Yeah, okay. Who is speaking, please?
Hello.
Yeah, who is speaking, please?
Okay. Yeah. In the first paragraph, it was talking about that particular option. But if you read it very well, you discover that the patient has not disclosed their confidentiality to the doctor yet. It was talking about patient may be reluctant to seek medical attention or to give doctor the information they need in order to provide good care.
All right. Okay. Now what I'm saying is this, and I get you. What I'm saying is this. They said here, however, faced with a situation in which a patient's refusal to consent to disclosure leaves other exposed to a risk so serious that is away. So there's a place where they said patient's refusal to consent to disclosure is similar to saying a patient refused to disclose information. So why is C the wrong answer? A is correct, I agree. But why is C wrong? Because look at it. Okay.
For me, excuse me, sir. For me, if you
Yes.
look at the questions,
Yes.
the question says doctors are advised to break patient confidentiality if failure to do so will put others in danger. And the third option there is saying a patient refuses to disclose information relevant to their care. But go back to the question.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Okay.
reason I said.
So we
because if the patient did not disclose information relevant to their care, there's no confidentiality at that point.
Yes.
Because there's confidentiality when the patient gives the doctor some information that are like top secret. So that's when there's confidentiality between the two people. But it will not be disclosed if that such information it will put others in danger. So that is when the doctor will be at liberty to report to appropriate authority.
All right. Thank you all for your wonderful and brilliant contribution. Yeah, that absolutely the point. Now that's why I said, please understand your question. Understand now. Doctors are advised to break confidentiality. This is already in process already. Right? Breaking confidentiality to break. So when can they break confidentiality? Look at option C. Option C say a patient refuses to disclose information relevant to their care. Here is already talking about that a doctor can already break confidentiality. This one is taking us back again. Refuse to disclose information. We're not talking about patient refusing to disclose. We're talking about when should a patient break confidentiality. That means a doctor can break confidentiality, meaning that if I say when should a doctor break confidentiality, it means that the doctor is already aware that this patient has this condition. Okay? And this condition is confidential to this patient. But me as a doctor, when should I break it? Do you get the point? Why should I break it? If I break it, what will happen? So if is a very conditional word there. Okay, it's a conditional word. So say if failure to do so will put other people's life in danger. So I can further break the confidentiality if my failure, okay, Zainab, I'll get to you, Zainab. If my failure is going to lead to other people being in danger. Now look at the other one now. Doctors are advised to break confidentiality if a patient refuses to disclose information relevant to their care. Relevant to their own care, like how? Relevant to their care makes that answer actually wrong. That's the honest truth. Relevant to their care makes that answer wrong. Zainab, you want to say something?
Yes, please. So regarding this question, when I was practicing, I actually picked option C. And from this class, what gave me the insight of the right answer is the ability to actually paraphrase. Because when I was practicing, when I read that second paragraph that says, however, faced with a situation in which a patient
has refused
refused
already.
that, and because in the option C, there is a word on patient refusing, right?
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, that's the answer. So the ability to read a full sentence also matters rather than just reading the beginning because you've seen something like that in the option. You are just going to pick the answer. No, finish that full sentence. So when I'm able to finish that sentence and not just concentrate on the word that I've seen in the option, I would then understand that it's not about the refuser, but about the risk, which also implies danger. That's how I see it. Because I've made the mistake of picking option
Okay, you're the
C,
one that picks C, right? Okay.
No. I'm saying when I was practicing this question,
Okay,
because I think I've seen this
Okay, you
question
picked C
somewhere.
before.
Yeah.
Okay, pick C.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, thank you so much. So you have to be very okay. Someone wants to say something.
Sir, can I have question, sir? Can I ask question?
Yeah, we speaking, please.
It's Iriola.
Okay, Arela. Okay, I'm with you, Arela.
Yeah. All right. Option B. If you look at it, honestly, I wanted to pick option B because they said if they inform the patient of their intention in advice, to me, that means that they want to break the confidentiality, but they have to inform the patient of what they are going to do. So why is that one not right?
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you for your question. So is there anyone that can answer it? I actually have the answer, but let's make it interactive.
Yes, I can answer that.
Okay, please. So that we'll move to the next
Okay.
one.
All right. See, why option B is not the right answer is because the question said doctors are advised to break patients' confidentiality if they're talking about confidentiality. So you underline break patients' confidentiality. If why should you break that confidentiality? That's what they want to know. And then that option B, they're saying that that's the process involved. That you must tell the patient, but you must break that confidentiality because A is their failure to do so will put people in danger. So now if you look at that second paragraph, it said, however, faced with a situation in which a patient's refusal to consent to disclosure leaves others exposed. Remember, look at where that patient, that even if the patient refuses to give consent to give consent to disclose to disclosure, leaves others exposed to a risk, leaves others to a risk so serious that it outweighs the patient's and the public interests. At that moment now, you need to disclose it because it is outweighing that patient's interest, which is that refusing to disclose. So in maintaining confidentiality. So at this point, you outweigh all those things. You must, because patient, other people are at risk. So if it is not practical or safe to seek the patient's consent. So here too, you can even say if it's not practical or safe to seek a patient's consent, information should be disclosed promptly to an appropriate person or authority. So the main thing they're looking for is why should you actually break that confidentiality? So looking at the last sentence, that said the patient should be informed in advance. You understand? They're trying to tell you the process, what you should do to break in the process of breaking that confidentiality. The patient should be informed in advance that the doctor will be disclosing that information, and provided that this is practical and safe. So if the doctor intends to disclose without the patient's consent too. So provided that this is safe too, that even if the doctor intends to disclose without, that means you can even do it without the patient consent, provided that your interest is for the people out there not to be in danger. So that's what I'm trying, that's the point there. So they put that one just to get you confused. But the main point that they want to find out is why should you break patient's confidentiality? That's the question. So if you want to understand where you can.
If you look at the last sentence, they even said that the doctor, if that one should even make you not to pick it, because they have said something that is even opposite to what they have said before.
How?
You understand? They said that either you inform the patient, even if you don't want to inform the patient, and still disclose it as the last part. They said that you should inform the patient before breaking the news, before informing the public, and at the same time, even if you don't want to inform the patient, this one would equally tell you that this is not the answer. Even if you don't want to inform the patient, you can actually go ahead to inform the appropriate person.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay, can I say something?
Okay.
See,
last
they
one.
actually what?
I said last one. After this, we'll move to the next one. Thank you.
Okay. See, ma'am, see what I'm trying to say. That this one is to confuse because they're trying to tell you that this is needed. You have to tell your patient. But look at the other place in the second paragraph. It said, however, faced with the, however should be a key. Is a key. Is guiding you to where the answer is. So he's telling you that's what the teacher said. The tutor said that look at that point. That, however, is a key. So you have to look at that, however, faced with a situation in which patient's refusal, that way they said, why should you break it? So he's even telling you again that even if patient refuses to give consent to the disclosure, that if that patient refusal to consent to disclosure leaves others exposed to a risk so serious that it outweighs the patient and the public interest in maintaining confidentiality, that yes, you have to seek the patient's consent, but when the patient refuses, you outweigh it. At this point now, that confidentiality cannot stand anymore because people are in danger. You need to save. You understand?
Yeah,
So that's the key. There he told that even if, and then at the end of the day, he came again and told you that you have to still tell patient, take consent, this one and that one. But he's telling you that even without their consent, you can still disclose it. So that's the answer. And what they are looking for is, why should you? See, they didn't ask me like a question. They just made it like a sentence. Doctors are advised to break this. So ask the question, why should doctors do this?
So exactly.
That's how you just change it. So then you will understand. Thank you.
So thank you so much for your explanation.
Thank you very much.
As I try to always paraphrase, first of all, understand what the question is talking about. Doctors are advised to break confidentiality. Why should a doctor break confidentiality? That's your answer. Think about it. Why should a doctor break patient confidentiality? Gives you your answer. So if you paraphrase, you understand. Why? My why should not be to go and inform them in advance. Do you get why it's not correct? Okay? Because here, if I paraphrase it, why should a doctor break confidentiality? That's what this question is telling me. So my why is not that the patient should be informed in advance. My why is that it will put other people's life in danger. Does that make sense? So you have to paraphrase. And then when you paraphrase, doctors are advised to break patient confidentiality. What should be in your head is, why should a doctor break confidentiality? If that why comes to your head, when you see an if question, just change it to why. And you get your answer easily. And again, however, okay, has already helped you to cone down to where your answers will be, so that we don't make all those mistakes. Okay, let's look at this second one. I'm going to project others. I just want us to interact. I projected this one before, but then let's look at it again. Okay, so these two. So I'll give us 2 minutes for us to look at it. Let me try and meet someone. Okay. Is this still clear? So 2 minutes, and let's drop our answers. Wow, fast though. Don't drop the answer. Perfect is major key. Okay. Right. Please. This ends. Just rejoin with the same link. Thank you. As I said, it'll be recording for those that join late and those that are not in the class. All right. So we have just 1 minute to go, and then we'll share the answer there. Interesting. Okay, so we have 30 seconds. This is interesting. It's interesting. Okay, please drop your answers. Please make this a practical class. Don't say I will not put my answer before Dr. Ebuka will call me. I'm not trying to disgrace anybody here. Please, more responses, please. All right, so 3 minutes. I mean, I can keep on studying answer. So, Dr. Linda, are you on the call?
I am. I changed my mind. I would go with C. I wanted to type C. No way I put in B.
No problems. Anyone you choose, just explain why it's your answer. So you said C. Why C?
Okay, the question says that according to the guidance notes, all staff involved in transferring patients from critical to general care must. The first paragraph said critical care area transferring team and the receiving ward team should take shared responsibility for the care of the patient being transferred. They should jointly ensure that there is continuity of care through a formal structured handover from critical care staff to ward staff. So this the word should was the key word for me. That's why I chose C. It was like a pointer.
Okay, so you said
that's why.
All right. So just to paraphrase, I'm going to give someone else to speak. Okay, just to reiterate what you said. You said the reason I'm choosing C is because of should jointly ensure that there is continuity of care through a formal structured handover from critical care staff to ward staff. Okay, so must make arrangement for ongoing cooperation once the transfer is complete. Okay. I'll hold out with my right hand and then I'll come back to that. All right, so let me, Henry or Sayonde, I don't know. Sorry, Henry is fine.
Okay.
All right, so you said B. So why is the answer B, please?
Well, because in that they mentioned that when patients are transferred to the general ward from a critical care area, they should be offered information about their care, about their condition, and encouraged to actively participate in decisions that relate to their recovery.
Okay.
And in the question, I saw that according to the guidance note, all staff. So I felt this all staff, this should be, this day. I was trying to look for something to cover this all staff, but I don't know. I may be wrong, but I felt this transferring from, and they also mentioned general wards for critical care, so I just felt it's closest to it.
All right, thank you. So so I have two people raising their hands. I have Zainab and Adela. Let me go with Zainab first on my list. Zainab, please shoot.
Sorry, that was the previous hand. Sorry.
Okay, what about Adela? Okay, Aragbai. I don't know. Okay, she has. Okay, your hand is spinning you now. You put it down. Okay. All right, so let me just quickly highlight this. I don't want to take much of our time. Let me just explain something. Now, when you are reading, please.
Hello.
Okay, who's speaking?
Adelala.
Okay. You want to say something?
Okay, I will go for B because
Why?
the answers says they ensure that the patient personal care plan is also transferred, and that can be seen in the first point highlighted. That is, there is continuity of that. They should ensure that there is continuity of care through a formal structured handover from critical area staff to ward staff. So that long grammar has been paraphrased as patient personal care plan. Is also transferred from the critical care team to the nurses or the critical or the nurses on the ward that the care plan is transferred. So that all this is captured in that option B.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, yeah, I agree with you. Now, let me explain something, please. Okay. You must get this reading part B. I don't know how people are going to do, but we're getting it, and we're getting there. Now, first of all, look at this. All staff involved should be underlined. Okay? Transferring from critical to general care. So from critical to general care should be underlined. So we're talking about critical to general care. We're not looking from general to critical care. Critical to general care. And all staff. Now let's read. Here they said they should jointly ensure. So we know that our answer is already around here. We've already seen something like should. You must understand paraphrasing first. Should ensure that there is continuity of care. So that means there is transfer of care. Now look at it. There is transfer of care. That's continuity of care. It is the same thing.
Cooperation.
Someone's mic is on. Let me finish explaining, and then probably you can add one or two. Thank you. So there's continuity of care, meaning that there is transfer of care through a formal structured handover. Handover is already talking about transfer already. By handover money to you, transfer money to you. Through a formal structured handover from critical care. So this we're already seeing critical care. This critical. Care to ward. Of course, we already know that ward is general care. To ward staff, supported by a written plan. So here is just telling us that they should jointly, that means that's both teams, okay, that's all staff, that's both the ward team and the critical care team, to ensure that there is continuity of care, meaning that the patient's care is transferred. That's continuity of care through a formal structured handover. Now let's go to our options. A, obtain all necessary consent from interested parties. Really nothing about consent here. So A is wrong. Now, our option is now between B and C. Let's eliminate. Let's go to C. Okay. C says make arrangement for ongoing cooperation once the transfer is complete. We're not cooperating anything. We're not Manchester United. We're not trying to unite. Our own is just come. See this patient. I was managing this patient in my own team. Now I'm transferring this patient to you. For me to transfer this patient to you, I have to transfer the patient's care plan so that there will be continuity of care. So there is continuity of care. If I say continuity of care, what does it mean? It means that care has to continue. It means that care has to be transferred, okay, from the staff in the critical area to the ward. That's what it just means. Care has to be transferred. Now, C says, make arrangement for ongoing cooperation once the transfer is complete. We're not talking about once the transfer is complete. You say make arrangements. We're not doing ongoing cooperation. There is no ongoing cooperation here. What we're talking about here is that what should happen between the staff of the critical care units and receiving ward? As simple as possible, the answer is here. There is continuity of care through a formal structured handover from critical care to ward, which is the same thing as saying ensure that the patient's personal care, that's continuity of care, is also transferred. That's the same thing as saying ensure that there is continuity of care of my patients. Same thing as B, paraphrased. Ensure that the patient's personal care plan is also transferred. That's it. That's your answer. I don't need to read this other one because this other one is talking about